Welcome back, Music Maniacs, to another episode of Gibbs Drops the Needle, your one-stop spot for everything music. This last weekend were the 2026 Tony Awards, so I figured we'd do a recap of all the awards and the winners from that award ceremony, as well as some stories about some things that you might not have been able to see on the TV broadcast. So let's get started with the awards. The first award is Best Book of a Musical, with the nominees being The Lost Boys, Schmigadoon, Titanic, and Two Strangers, with the winner being Schmigadoon, Cinco Paul. The next award was Best Costume Design of a Play, with the nominations being Brenda Abadonolo for Dog Day Afternoon, Queen Jean for Liberation, Jeff Mashi, Fallen Angels, Amelia Sosa, The Ballisters, Paul Tazewell, August Wilson's Joe Turner's Come and Gone. The winner of the Best Costume Design of a Play was Jeff Mashi, Fallen Angels. Next award went to Best Costume Design of a Musical, with the nominations being Linda Cho for Ragtime, also Linda Cho for Schmigadoon, Queen Jean, Cats, The Jellicle Ball, Ryan Park, The Lost Boys, David I. Reynoso, Richard O'Brien's The Rocky Horror Show. The winner of Best Costume Design of a Musical went to Queen Jean, Cats, The Jellicle Ball. Next up we had Best Orchestrations. Nominated for Best Orchestrations, we had Doug Besterman and Mike Morris for Schmigadoon, Ethan Pop, Kyler England, Adrian A.G. Gonzalez and Gabriel Mann for The Lost Boys, Lux Pyramid for Two Strangers, Carry Cake Across New York, Brian Yusufer for Chess, Andrew Lloyd Webber, David Wilson, Trevor Holder, and Doug Schatt, Cats, The Jellicle Ball. The winner for Best Orchestrations was Doug Besterman and Mike Morris for Schmigadoon. Best Sound Design of a Musical. The nominees for that were Kai Harada for Cats, The Jellicle Ball, Kai Harada for Ragtime, Adam Fisher, The Lost Boys, Brian Ronan, Richard O'Brien's The Rocky Horror Show, Walter Trarbach, Schmigadoon, with the winner of Best Sound Design of a Musical going to Kai Harada, Ragtime. Best Sound Design of a Play. The nominees were Justin Ellington for August Wilson's Joe Turner's Come and Gone, Tom Gibbons for Oedipus, Lee Kinney for The Fear of 13, Josh Schmidt for Bug, and Michael Solomon, Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, with the winner being, for Best Sound Design of a Play, Michael Solomon, Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. Next up we had Best Original Score, Music, and or Lyrics written for the theater. The nominees for this were Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, Caroline Shaw, August Wilson, Joe Turner's Come and Gone by Steve Barngati, The Lost Boys by The Rescues, Schmigadoon, Cinco Paul, Two Strangers, Carry a Cake Across New York, Jim Barn, and Kat Buchan, with the winner being Schmigadoon, Cinco Paul. Next award we had Best Lighting Design of a Play, with the nominations being Isabel Bird, Dog Day Afternoon, Natasha Chivers, Oedipus, Stacy DeRosier, August Wilson's Joe Turner's Come and Gone, Heather Gilbert with Bug, Heather Gilbert also with The Fear of 13, and Jack Knowles, Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, with the winner of this award being Jack Knowles, Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. Next up we have Best Lighting Design of a Musical. The nominees for this were Kevin Adams, Chess, Jane Cox, Richard O'Brien's The Rocky Horror Show, Donald Holder, Schmigadoon, Adam Honore, Cats, The Jellicle Ball, Adam Honore and Donald Holder, Lighting Design and 59 Studio Projection Design for Ragtime, and Jen Shriver and Michael Arden for The Lost Boys, with the winner for Best Lighting Design of a Musical being Jen Shriver and Michael Arden for The Lost Boys. The next award we had was Best Scenic Design of a Play. For the nominations for that award, we had Gildgard Bechler for Oedipus, Takashi Kata for Bug, Chloe Lamford for Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, David Corrins for Dog Day Afternoon, David Rockwell for Fallen Angels, with the winner of Best Scenic Design of a Play being Chloe Lamford for Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. Next up, we have Best Scenic Design of a Musical. The nominations for this was Dots, Richard O'Brien's The Rocky Horror Show, Saltra Gilmore, Two Strangers, Carry a Cake Across New York, Rachel Hawk, Cats, The Jellicle Ball, Dane Laffery, The Lost Boys, and Scott Pask, Schmigadoon, with the winner being Dane Laffery for The Lost Boys. Next up, we have Best Choreography. The Best Choreography nominations were Christopher Gitelli for Schmigadoon, Eleanor Scott for Ragtime, Ani Taj, Richard O'Brien's The Rocky Horror Show, Omari Wiles and Arturo Lyons, Cats the Jellicle Ball, Lauren Yalango Grant and Christopher Cree Grant, The Lost Boys, with the winner for Best Choreography going to Omari Wiles and Arturo Lyons for Cats the Jellicle Ball. Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role in a Play. We had nominations for Will Harrison Punch, Nathan Lane in Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, John Lithgow in Giant, Daniel Radcliffe in Every Brilliant Thing, Mark Strong in Oedipus, with the winner for Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role in a Play going to John Lithgow for Giant. Best Performance by an Actress in a Featured Role in a Play. For the nominations, we had Betsy Adam for Liberation, Mary Louise Burke for The Ballisters, Aya Cash, Giant, Laurie Metcalf, Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, June Squibb for Majorie Prime, with the winner for the Best Performance by an Actress in a Featured Role in a Play going to Laurie Metcalf, Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. Best Direction of a Musical. The nominations were Michael Arden, The Lost Boys, Lear de Bessonnet for Ragtime, Christopher Gitelli with Schmigadoon, Tim Jackson, Two Strangers, Carry a Cake Across New York, and Zylan Leviston and Bill Rock for Cats the Jellicle Ball, with the winner for Best Direction of a Musical being Zylan Leviston and Bill Rock for Cats the Jellicle Ball. Best Direction of a Play, the nominees were Nicholas Heitner for Giant, Robert Icke for Oedipus, Kenny Leon for The Ballisters, Joe Mantello for Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, Whitney White for Liberation, with the winner for Best Direction of a Play going to Joe Mantello, Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. Best Performance by an Actress in a Featured Role in a Musical. We had Shoshana Bean for The Lost Boys, Hannah Cruz for Chess, Rachel Dratch for Richard O'Brien's The Rocky Horror Show, Anna Gasteyer for Schmigadoon, Nichelle Lewis for Ragtime, with the winner for Best Performance by an Actress in a Featured Role in a Musical going to Shoshana Bean for The Lost Boys. Best Play Award. The nominees were The Ballisters, Giant, Liberation, and Little Bear Ridge Road, with the winner being Liberation Bess Wall for Best Play. Best Performance by an Actor in a Featured Role in a Musical. The nominations were Ali Louis Borzge for The Lost Boys, Andre Day Shields, Cats the Jellicle Ball, Bryce Pinkham, Chess, Ben Levy, Ross for Ragtime, Leighton Williams for Titanic, with the winner of the Best Performance by an Actor in a Featured Role in a Musical going to Ali Louis Borzge for The Lost Boys. Best Performance by an Actress in a Leading Role in a Play, the nominees were Rose Byrne for Fallen Angels, Carrie Coon, Bug, Susanna Flood, Liberation, Leslie Manville for Oedipus, Kelly O'Hara for Fallen Angels, with the winner of the Best Performance by an Actress in a Leading Role in a Play going to Leslie Manville for Oedipus. The award for Best Revival of a Musical, the nominees were Cats the Jellicle Ball, Ragtime, and Richard O'Brien's The Rocky Horror Show, with the winner being Ragtime. The award for Best Performance by an Actor in a Featured Role in a Play, the nominations were Christopher Abbott for Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, Danny Burstein for Marjorie Prime, Brandon J. Durden for Waiting for Godot, Alden Ehrenreich for Becky Shaw, Ruben Santiago Huston for August Wilson's Joe Turner's Come and Gone, and Richard Thomas for The Ballisters, with the award going to Alden Ehrenreich for Becky Shaw. Best Revival of a Play, the nominees were Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman, Becky Shaw, Gina Gianfrido, Every Brilliant Thing, Duncan Macmillan with Johnny Donahoe, Fallen Angels, and Oedipus, Robert Icke, with the winner for Best Revival of a Play going to Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. Best Performance by an Actress in a Leading Role in a Musical, the nominees were Sarah Chase for Schmigadoon, Stephanie Sue, Richard O'Brien's The Rocky Horror Show, Cassie Levy for Ragtime, Marla Mendel for Titanic, Christina Pitts for Two Strangers Carry a Cake Across New York, with the winner for Best Performance by an Actress in a Leading Role in a Musical going to Cassie Levy for Ragtime. Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role in a Musical, the nominees were Nicholas Christopher for Chess, Luke Evans for Richard O'Brien's The Rocky Horror Show, Joshua Henry for Ragtime, Sam Tuddy for Two Strangers Carry a Cake Across New York, Brandon Urenwitz for Ragtime. The winner for the Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role in a Musical went to Joshua Henry, Ragtime. The Best Musical Award, the nominees were The Lost Boys, Schmigadoon, Titanic, and Two Strangers Carry a Cake Across New York, with the winner for the Best Musical at the 2026 Tony Awards going to Schmigadoon. Now, a tally for all the musicals, because that's a lot to go through. The tally of the winners ended up being Death of a Salesman walked away with the most awards at 6. The Lost Boys were next at 4. Ragtime also had 4. Schmigadoon also had 4. Cats the Jellicle Ball walked away with 3 awards. Becky Shaw, 1 award. Fallen Angels, 1 award. Giant, 1 award. Liberation, 1 award. And Oedipus with 1 award. So those are your tallies for that. And I know that technically some of these were plays and not musicals, so it's not really musical related, but the Tonys in general are a performance arts award, so I was kind of lumping everything in, the musicals and the plays awards as well. Other newsworthy things happening out of the 79th annual Tony Awards included when host Pink took the stage for a star-studded parody of Lady Marmalade, which was a popular song on the Billboard Hot 100 when it was released back in 2001. During this parody, she brought out Neil Patrick Harris, Megan Thee Stallion, Leah Michele, Dylan Mulvaney, Shoshana Bean, and even June Squibb for this Tony-fied rewrite. Now, I got 10 things that happened at the Tony Awards that Billboard put out that were not televised, so I just wanted to fill everyone in on those things that you might not have caught had you been watching the broadcast. So here are the things that you might have missed. Again, all of this is coming from the Billboard website. John Lithgow won his first Tony in 1973 for The Changing Room, second in 2002 with Sweet Smell of Success, and the third this year for portraying the dark side of children's author Roald Dahl in Giant. In the press room, Lithgow was thoughtful and articulate when talking about Dahl as, quote, a man who swung so wildly between kindness and cruelty, end quote. He was also unsurprisingly naturally and effortlessly funny. Holding his Tony aloft, he equipped, quote, these have gotten heavier over the years, or I've gotten older. I'm not sure which, end quote. Next story comes after winning the Best Scenic Design of a Musical Tony for The Lost Boys. Dane Laffrey told Billboard what it was like to do his job while working with actors who were not only singing and dancing, but flying through the air, among other feats and technical wizardry. Quote, the how of it is not unknown, he said. The thing we did, where the characters were jumping off a bridge, is new territory in live performance. The cast approached that with such excitement and grace, and we were able to find something that just looks wild. It's only because those guys were willing to try it. It is what it looks like. It's a bunch of guys jumping off a bridge. We're excited to be able to bring that kind of experience. End quote. Next up we have when Cinco Paul hit the press room, 2 Tony Awards in his hands of an eventual 3 from Schmigadoon. Playbill asked him if fans might potentially see a stage production of Schmigadoon based on the Apple TV Plus series' second season, Broadway Schmigadoon, by and large follows the show's first season. Quote, I mean, I wouldn't say no if someone offered it to me, he laughed. We'll have to see, I'm focused on this right now, but that would be a dream too, end quote. So possibly another Schmigadoon musical coming out there. Next story is when co-directors Zylan Levinston and Bill Roch entered the press room. They were asked about what it meant to win directorial Tonys for Cats the Jellicle Ball during Pride Month. Quote, I don't think we've seen what's going to happen in that theater once Pride Month really begins, end quote. Levinston chuckled before taking a moment to get serious. Quote, there are literally cities and states in this country right now trying to erase Pride Month. More than anything, I hope that it's the refuge. If you can't find this kind of queer black joy that's accessible to all of us, no matter where you come from, then this is your invitation to come to Broadway and get a dose of it for 2.5 hours and bring it back to where you came from, end quote. Next story comes out of Queen Jean making history on Sunday night as the first openly trans person to win a Tony. She won for Best Costume Design of a Musical for Cats the Jellicle Ball and spoke to Billboard about how NYC ball culture, where queer creatives craft trailblazing art despite limited resources, informed her work on the musical. Quote, this question speaks spontaneity and the joy that I wanted to achieve with each of the designs. Queen Jean said, more specifically, that the details feel as if we're seeing each person craft and create something to beautify themselves. For me, that is an element of each of the characters in Cats, in each of the numbers, the ballroom categories, where we're seeing different people with the same assignment or the same prompt and seeing the creativity in how they've approached it. That to me is something that is authentic in ballroom culture, to see the resilience of when people really want to achieve something, they can. Jellicles can and Jellicles do, and tonight Jellicles did, end quote. Another story that you might have seen during the broadcast was during Ragtime's acceptance speech for the best revival of a musical. Lynn Ahrens, who wrote the musical's lyrics, was played off before she got to say her piece. In the press room, she was invited to give the speech she would have made, which she did, mostly. Quote, what I was going to say in brief was that first of all, Terrence McNally in particular always wanted this show to be at Lincoln Center. She said of late book writer of Ragtime, quote, "It fits it so beautifully, and the times we're in fit this show so beautifully. We set out basically to make a great American musical all about the beauty of America and the contradictions of America," end quote. At that point, while Ahrens was still speaking, the press room began bubbling with cheers. Cassie Levy had just won the Tony for her role as Mother in Ragtime. Quote, "That's," Aaron began, cracking up while feigning annoyance. Quote, "I was played off yet again," end quote. Next up we have Alden Ehrenreich, who nabbed the Tony for Becky Shaw, debuting some compelling ideas about Broadway's future in the digital era backstage in the press room. Quote, "The Lincoln Center Theater archive should be made public to the whole country," end quote, he said, making the case that the theater on film and tape archive housed in Lincoln Center, part of the New York Public Library for Performing Arts, should be made more readily available to Americans by digital means. While spinning around the medallion on his Tony with his thumb, he also suggested selling digital tickets to onstage productions, not only to expand the audiences, but to offset rising ticket cost. Quote, "The filming of plays can create other ways to make money on these shows so that the actual ticket prices can go down in the house," end quote. Next, shortly after winning her first Tony for The Lost Boys, Shoshana Bean stopped by the press room, but only for a moment, as she was due back on the Tony stage to perform alongside the Lost Boys cast within the hour. When asked about what it was like to win a Tony for a role that Cassie Levy was attached to but stepped away from, Bean said, quote, "I've marveled that my dear friend, who is like a sister, would make a decision that on a soul level was handing me a gift like this. Nothing on paper made it seem like this was the right move, or something in my spirit moved me to say yes," she said. "I'm so glad I said yes," end quote. Next story comes from Joshua Henry. After winning his first Tony following his 3 previous nominations for Ragtime, he told the press room what was on his to-do list after his big night. Quote, "I can't wait to go home and spend time with my boys, get a good wrestling session in with my little boys, and go for a walk in Central Park. Just reflect on the last 2 years. It's been quite a journey. With this piece, I'm feeling incredible, and I want to spend some time in silence and in gratitude," end quote. And the last story I have from the Tonys for you was when ballroom veterans Amari Wiles, the founder of the House of Nina Orisi, and Arturo Lyons of the House of Mayake Mugler snatched Tonys for their indelible choreography in Cats the Jellicle Ball. When asked what existing theatrical properties they might want to tackle next, Wiles floated the ideas of bringing Fame to Broadway. And no, it wouldn't be a revival of Fame. Fame has actually never been on Broadway. Originating as a 1980 musical film, it was adapted for the stage before the decade was out and ran as an off-Broadway production from 2003 to 2024. After seeing how these two helped breathe new life into Cats, one can only hope that an enterprising producer gives them the chance to supercharge the Body Electric with their choreo and finally bring Fame to Broadway. So that's all I got for you from the Tony Awards. I hope you enjoyed catching up on all of the winners and all the extra news that you might have missed. I'm Gibbs. This is Gibbs Drops the Needle. Until next time, stay safe and be kind.